So everybody's already complaining that we're late. It's 3 minutes
Yeah.
late. 3 minutes late. You guys are ridiculous in chat. All right. Mark is. I don't know what Mark's doing. Mark's
I'm
there.
fixing my mic.
All right, Mark's fixing his mic. He was also scarfing down some food. Look good. What were you eating? A little pasta, a little rice. What do you got there?
It's like a cold shrimp salad, like shrimp and a little pasta. I got some cucumber in it, or it's okay.
That sounds like, I never think you want seafood described as okay. Sounds like,
It's like gas station sushi.
gas station sushi. Oh man. All right, so who do we got? Let's see. Oh, Chase is in chat already. He said the clean shaven one is talking. I'm not really clean shaven. I haven't shaved in a couple days, so.
Someone post the link in the Discord.
And then we got Sam in here. What's up? And Dennis, as usual. Dennis was. I don't think Dennis was the first person in chat. I saw Chase talking before Dennis. That's a rarity. And then Chase calling Caleb perfect. That got weird real quick. But yeah, we're on the wrong lead. We're gonna take a look at some of this Keeneland card on Saturday. We got six graded stakes races to look at here, so we'll see how long this takes us to get through. We've I think 1 week we got through like 10 races pretty quickly, but I don't know. These are some big fields and these are some tough races, so this one might be pretty tough. Oh, apparently there was a horse called Gas Station Sushi.
There was a horse called Gas Station Sushi. Yes.
Oh, that's a great name.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, and someone's wasted already. Holy cow, dude! People are just fucking getting lit in chat. But yeah, we're gonna talk a little bit about Keeneland here. If you haven't listened already, we did do a podcast last night, Chase and myself, and we covered a bit of Friday's card, looking at the two stakes races at Keeneland and the Oceanside at Del Mar. So take a listen to that. Mark, I know you've been enjoying this short little Keeneland meet so far, huh?
Yeah, Keeneland has been very nice to me so far this meet. I've been finding that it's been very readable, been very logical, and yeah, I've been having a real good meet so far.
Does any part of you like hurt because of how much money you've been putting through Flo, the jock here, and Julian?
I have quite a bit of resentment for them when they're outside the great Commonwealth of Kentucky, but when they're there, they get good mounts and they put on some okay rides. I think we had a conversation in chat today about how passive the jock colony is in general at Keeneland, and for those guys and their ride styles, that works well, and they get away with murder, and they do well. So, as much as I come in with my jockey-induced bias there, I have to respect them in Kentucky.
Yeah, I think someone had posted in one of the chats today that there were a lot of people complaining about some rides today, and oddly enough, none of them were soba. So I don't know what the hell is going on today, but yeah, I did not do well until you bailed me out with a double that I tailed for no good reason. So
yeah, I think a number of the complaints were on Talamo, who it doesn't. I don't know if he's just used to being able to fire a horse into a hole and then the world parts for him, but that doesn't happen at Keeneland. And he had a couple rides where he looked to be loaded and just did some really dumb things.
He's had some nice mounts. I mean, Romans hasn't really been hot lately, but he's had a couple live ones that probably could have done better with some better rides or better luck. And he has had a couple winners even with Talamo. So it's one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, it's one to keep an eye on. I mean, he in one race today, it was really odd because, I was on a favorite that was a little outside. There was like a wall of three horses. The horse I liked was on the outside, and he ran his horse right up on the heels of the middle of the three. And you're like, what are you doing, dude? And then he's like, middle of the corner, full on, got the brakes on, got the horse sucked right up. And you're like, And then the horse re-rallies and finished like second. Like he had much the best horse. It just was a baffling ride.
I believe Chase is comparing Talamo to Perry Oots.
On the rail.
Yeah, it says he's rail dependent. Did you see? Was it like 3 or 4 weeks ago? Perry won like 6 races or something crazy at Belterra Park.
It must have been the goldest rail that has ever existed.
Goodness gracious, dude! I was just like, man. Good thing our friend Papo doesn't bet Belterra. He'd probably be losing his mind. Yeah. So we're gonna take a look at this card real quick, but why don't we go around the room real quick? Caleb, what you got a beverage in front of you there?
Yeah, I do. I got some 1792 foolproof.
Oh, you're going foolproof still. Nice.
Yeah, I picked it up about a week ago or so, and it's not too bad. I don't know that I'd like strongly recommended it. Like I think it was like $50. I think there's better bourbons for 50, but it's definitely not bad.
And Mark, what do you got there?
I made myself a Boulevardier again. I've just gotten really into drinking some fun cocktails, and that's with the Woodford Double Oaked. And Josh just shaking his head at what I used to do.
No, it was a double. If it's the double oaked, I was thinking of what was the other Woodford you bought? The batch proof.
Yeah, I had some.
And you were making cocktails with that. That was like, although in fairness, you are making 100% spirit drinks, and I feel like if you're making those drinks, like if you use an expensive whiskey, it's okay. It's once you start like using mixers and using like lime juice and shit like that, and you're just like, maybe you could be better served with something else. But I think like a Manhattan or something like that with a really nice vermouth and a decent whiskey, and good bitters. I think it's worth using a bit of nicer whiskey on those.
Yeah, if you're making a good mixed drink with good quality stuff, that good quality alcohol you're using is going to show through. And yeah, I have no problem doing it there. Now, if I was mixing that with pineapple juice or something, then you're allowed to eviscerate me.
Oh, trust me, I look for every opportunity to try and do that.
Yeah, I'm not tailing my doubles.
Yeah, but I did need to call upon your help earlier today, so I guess I should be nice to you at least today. I've been I picked up a Russell Reserve single barrel store pick from our like the big chain that's over here. I think they picked something like 6 or 7 barrels, so they list them out all differently. But this is really good. I've never had one of these before, and it's about $60. Which is about my breaking point usually when it comes to bourbon and scotch too. Like I try not to buy anything that's way more expensive for like unless it's like a special occasion. But yeah, this is really good. And then I also got a bottle of Four Roses single barrel here for when I'm finished with this pour. So we will be well hydrated along the stream here. Checking out in the chat, looks like we got a fair bit of regulars here. We got Bobby just showed up here. B Marks, who almost leg kicked another $11,000 double today. I think he needed an 8 in one of those races and just missed.
I apologize, B Marks. My horse beat your horse, and I feel a touch bad because you were alive to a lot more than I was.
It looks like Polka Dot Taylor's in here, and he is regaling a story about his local liquor store randomly getting a case of E.H. Taylor 18 year that was supposed to go to it wasn't supposed to go to Vermont. It was supposed to, no. I read the thread. It was supposed to go to be lotteried off, not sold. You silly man. Evil Bob Dole's in chat over here. We got Chase Stewart, who I believe is Keep Pounding on Discord. We got Murphy, Sam Roseman. I never remember who Sam is, but Sam's in here, and Sixer as well. So we got a fair bit of chatter going on here. Let's let me switch over here. I got the PPs up, going to our little split screen view here. Let's start at race 4 here, the Appalachian. That's grade 2. We're going a mile on the turf. Fillies 3-year-olds. And I'm gonna search real quick because isn't this this is normally like the Chad Brown isn't this like Chad Brown specialty like mile or routers on the turf fillies. And I don't see any Chads here, and I know he's been shipping a couple horses, and I feel like there's a horse in here that tricks me every time into betting her, and we'll probably bet her again in Walking Marrakesh, the 6. But I'm getting a much shorter price here at 9-5. It looks like Alms is the pretty big favorite here at 6-5, but. This race does have a new shooter in Maria Foot here coming over from France for Cherie Deveau. So kind of an interesting race here. I don't really think that Alms towers over this field upon quick look. So I could definitely see maybe see a little argument for trying to get a price in this race. But Mark, I don't know what did you see here?
Yeah, I think, I would imagine Caleb and I talked real quick about this race, and we're probably going to be very similar. I don't, I think the morning line making Waka Marrakesh longer priced. I don't necessarily know if I agree with that. I think both of them are, should be very, very similarly priced. I'll probably use both of them equally. I don't really see where you can, draw a line between the two. I realize Alms has, some more back class, has some more, has some more graded stakes scores, where Walking Marrakesh has, I don't know, maybe been a little bit of a hanger since shipping over from Europe. Hasn't really gotten it done. But I have on Figs, and sort of moving forward, I think it's really hard to draw a line, between the two of them. I would want a little bit of Maria Foot, who first time Lasix. I always find that interesting. Although Cherie Deveau is not the trainer that you expect to move them forward a ton. She's not great with firsters and not great with first Europeans and not great with first time Lasix either. So
she's not great.
Yeah, she's an okay trainer, but she's an 11% trainer. But when you have over 13 with firsters kind of stats, doesn't get you all excited. It's nice to see Sayas getting the mount. But this horse probably doesn't want the run style that he's known for. This is more of an off the pace type. So it's a horse I find interesting, but I think it's going to take a lot of money with people trying to get cute and get around the two favorites, and I would have a hard time going there. I think the race really goes through either Alms or Walking Marrakesh.
Did just out of curiosity, I haven't looked at the DRF yet, but are there notes for Maria Foot's races in France or no?
Yeah, there are.
Okay, so just from reading the notes, it doesn't sound like a need to lead type.
No, she's all of her races. All of her races, she broke her maiden, and was to the lead 1 furlong out easily. So kind of a going away. And then, the last out race where she was a bit of a price and got up, she to the lead 50 yards out driven. But again, 3 of those, she's never won on turf to start things off with, although she has the pedigree that says she should be able to do it with all the Rock of Gibraltar on the bottom end. This is probably the distance she wants. I think turf miler in the States makes sense, but I don't know. It just, there are certain Euro first timers that really get excited. This one isn't one of the ones that gets me as excited.
Yeah, I mean, Maria Foot is out of a productive dam. It looks like 7 starters, 5 winners, a stakes winner, and 3 winners on a turf. So, that's always something that I like to look for, especially if you see something, these lightly raced horses, which most of these are. I mean, we got 4 starts, 2 starts. Evil Lynn has got 10 starts, but everybody else is 5, 2, 9. So yeah, I could maybe see a case for Maria Foot, but yeah, normally you'd like to see a trainer that's known for that move, especially coming from Europe over, and Cherie is definitely not the one that I would think would be bringing one like that over. What do you think there, Caleb?
So I'm not interested in the one at all. Euro shippers are generally, well, at least I highly regard them, but they got to come from certain circuits, and these are not the right circuits. This is not Deauville or Chantilly or any like upper class, more well-known French circuits. I don't even have jockeys listed for 3 of those races on the PP. So I'm going to let that one beat me with Sherry DeVoe coming to the States. Josh, I'm kind of surprised. The problem, not my top pick, but a horse that I'm definitely going to use a lot of here is this 3, Evil Lynn. I'm kind of surprised you weren't on him, just given that it doesn't seem like there's any speed in this race. And the 3 isn't truly a speed horse per se, but definitely has more speed than the majority of this field, unless there's some major change in tactics that go on. Like, I get it that on paper the horse looks a little bit overmatched here on, we'll call it class, but the horse is undefeated, 3 for 3 on turf, 2 for 2 at the distance. It leaves Brad Cox's barn, but Mike Maker's one of the few who can actually claim off a guy like Cox and not have it be considered a negative, especially on turf routes. So I kind of think this horse is really interesting. He gets his arguable top jock up with Gafleon. I won't debate the fact that Alms and Walk in Marrakesh are the 2 likeliest winners here. I think Alms has done nothing wrong, but that last race was just kind of unexplainable, just kind of inexplicably poor. It wasn't like a terrible race, but she had every chance to run better than she did and just looked flat. So I guess you could maybe forgive her for one off performance, but that's one that if you're talking 6 to 5, that's a little tough for me to take on a horse coming off a bit of a subpar performance. And Walk in Marrakesh is another horse that I know a lot of us have been chasing for a while, but she kind of finds her own trouble a lot of the time, and she does seem to have a little bit of hang in her. So I'm a little interested, and I'll be using both of those 2 prominently, but the horse outside of the major 2 that I'm looking at would be the 3, mostly from a pace perspective and on the barn switch. And Maker doesn't put them where they don't fit. So for him to claim this for 40,000 and wheel it back in a grade 2 at Keeneland, I'm thinking there was something he saw that he liked in this horse.
Yeah, see, I was thinking, looking at this race, that the Josh horse would be the 2 Enola Gay. Horse that threw up some good figs first time out, at a Kentucky Downs with those crazy inflated maiden special weights where you're getting the best of the best of the best of maiden special weights. A horse then, I don't know what that race is at Aqueduct, the Stewart Marin, it's a black type stakes, was 7 wide in the upper, kind of flattened out, it looks like, but obviously didn't get the best trip. It's a horse for Shig McGahee. He's very good off the long layoff. He's also very, very good stretching horses out, and you're getting Julian taking them out, who won first time out. And obviously Julian gets choice mounts at Kentucky Downs as well. So obviously they thought very highly of this horse before the first. Julian gets back up here. He's the local boy, rides real well. I think you'll get every bit of 6 to 1 here. And if you want the horse that has that potential to take a step forward, it seems kind of an interesting horse.
Oh, I hit the wrong button there. Oh no, what happened? Interesting. My my stream decided to just completely screw up here. So, there we go. So people were complaining that no one could be seen. So I blew up Caleb. So Caleb is now front and center because I did see that that Chase is like, you really want to see more of Josh and Mark. So you got us tiny still. Now we got Caleb here, nice and front and center. You make a really good point with Evil Lynn. Being claimed by Maker, and I got to fix this because this looks ridiculous now. Oh, I don't want that either. You make a really good point here with Maker claiming this horse. And if there's one thing that if you see Maker claim a horse and he's going to keep the horse either routing on turf or switch it to routing on turf, that's always something that I think you got to keep an eye on, especially in Kentucky, especially when you have someone like Tyler getting the board. Maker, although Maker does okay in New York, I mean, he's like a second tier guy, I think, in New York. When it comes to doing stuff in going long on the turf in Kentucky, there's nobody better. He's the he's like the what Wesley Ward is to turf sprints in Kentucky, Mike Maker is to turf routes. So that is a good point there on Evil Lynn. There is not a lot of speed signed up. but I'm not convinced that Evil Lynn is really, um, really going to be the speed here. I wouldn't be surprised if Evil Lynn gets the lead, but I don't think it's a like a certainty that Evil Lynn will get the lead. So, yeah, this was pretty interesting pace wise to see what would happen. I think that I'll probably lean a little bit heavier on walking Marrakesh here, because I think that Ortiz will ride the walking Marrakesh a little bit more aggressively. But yeah, I think that's going to be my top pick here.
Yeah, I mean, I think personally I would put Alms on top over Walking Marrakesh, just off from some of the back class, and I don't really know what happened, first off the last time out, but this time should potentially move forward, and you're getting Rosario, who got off the snide today, so.
Yeah, and so it looks like Bobby's pointing out that it's a David in Gordo horse for Sherry, that he's been known to pluck them out pretty nicely. So I don't know. Yeah. I'm not too familiar with connections that deep, but I don't know if that makes any sense to you guys.
What's the price on the 3?
Morning line on the 3, 6-1.
Okay.
Yeah, my issue with Maria Foot is, I mean, if you want to get a little more granular here, those are not top tier French tracks. That's sort of second tier French tracks. So it's sort of like saying, in American racing, oh, this horse ran at Monmouth and is now shipping overseas. It's not what you expect. You want somebody that's, coming off from some of the, Chantilly, or it's coming off the ARC circuit. You want a horse that's coming off from different tracks than that, and also this horse ran a bunch of times on synth. I mean, it has the pedigree to get turf. They tried turf first time out in running a mile and eighth first out, which is sort of odd, but maybe the going back to turf perks the horse up a little bit, but there's just a lot of question marks, and I don't hate Sherry as a trainer, but if this was with a whole host of different trainers, I would be much more interested in the horse.
All right, why don't we move on here to the Madison here. We got a 7 furlong race, grade 1, 4-year-old and up for fillies here. And it looks like Guarana's showing up here. Went off at what was that, 1-5, I think, last time in optional claiming in Churchill. So probably the was until I think she got injured right in September, was probably the top female sprinter 3-year-old last year until.
No.
You don't think so?
Oh, my mind gets
Covfefe.
Covfefe. Yeah, I guess.
Couldn't think. I mean, I think Covfefe was the better horse. I think Guarana's always been that horse that you knew was very, very talented. But what was she? I don't know. She has always been a little suspect in my mind. They can't stretch her out much more than this. They've tried and she's failed. Looking at her cotillion, she got the CCA Oaks mainly because there was nobody else of any quality in that race, and on a really, really, really speed favoring Saratoga track. Come back in the cotillion. I just don't think she's the kind of horse that can run versus some of the classy gals at a little bit longer. I think she's probably 7 furlong or a mile horse. And Chad has sort of said that all along with her. He thinks she's a bit distance limited, where the other horse that's the other big name dirt filly is Dunbar Road, who he, can get more of a classic distance. She's going to be short here. She's your most likely winner. I don't know if I want to, I think she's going to be too short on the board to really win bet. And I don't know. I sort of like Mia Mischief here.
More than Guarana, or just at the price?
Honestly, for what's been working on this track so far this meet, I straight up like Mia Mischief better. I think Mia Mischief, I I don't know. I mean, I think Garana is going to be forwardly placed, but Mia Mischief I think has a little more closing speed late. I think Garana is going to have some pace pressure from a couple in here. Mia Mischief can press her, and I think Amy's Challenge can definitely press her. I don't think Amy's Challenge can get there, but I think she's going to have some pace pressure early on, and I think Mia Mischief's that horse that can apply that pace pressure and take over top of the stretch. And I almost straight up think I would rather go Mia Mischief here.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting take, and I don't hate it. I think this race is really interesting because there's 3 horses, I think, that are likely to be on or near the lead, and none of them really need the lead, which creates some very interesting kind of pace dynamics and jockey tactics decisions. Those 3 horses obviously being the 5, Guarana, the 7, Mia Mischief, and the 9, Amy's Challenge. I'd be a little bit surprised to see Mia Mischief on the lead. It seems like they've been a little more intent on getting her to sit in the pocket just off. Guarana is also one who isn't a horse that typically needs the lead. So I guess I'd figure that maybe the 9, Amy's Challenge, gets the lead here. I'm not sure that she can quite go 7 furlongs, but I do think that she's likely to be in the picture early. And what the reason I bring that up is that if you think all 3 of these horses send, then there's a chance you can get someone to come from off the pace. I guess my opinion is, given 3 horses that don't need the lead, I don't think this melts. I think one of those 3 are your most likely winner. Guarana is your overwhelming most likely winner. Her only bad race was when she got cooked in the cotillion and was only a second by 2 lengths, which is not bad at all for a grade 1. So I think Guarana is your likeliest winner here. I do respect Mia Mischief. I don't know what happened last race. She was tracking break even on the lead, and she just kind of came up flat in the stretch, which is not something we see from her all that often. So I don't know, kind of going back to the well there after she failed as the odds on, like, I think you have to use her, but I would not put her over Guarana, even though you're probably getting twice the price. And then Amy's Challenge is one who I think probably can't win, but probably does have a chance to set the pace. But the post and then Rosario getting up is going to make this tough to get out clear and then actually hold off some of these talented mid-pack and late runners. So I'll probably just be using Guarana and Mia Mischief just because I don't think this race melts down, and I probably want more horses that are forwardly placed as opposed to a horse that's like a very nice horse, but a horse like Bell's the One, who I just think is going to be coming from a little too far out of it to really make an impact in this one.
I got really upset when you said the word break even because I lost a ton of money on that race. But you were saying, Mark?
No, I was just going to throw out there that I think of the 3, the only one in there that arguably, the 3 that Caleb and I were talking about, the only one that really needs the lead is probably Amy's Challenge. I don't think she can win this unless she gets the lead. If you look at all of her wins, they've been, on or just slightly off the pace. So she's the one that probably gets sent here of the 3. There's a situation where if the track's been playing how it has the past 2 days, that you could get a passive Mia Mischief and passive Guarana, and maybe, Rosario can walk the dog on the front end, really slow this pace down, and kind of sprint home and steal this. But I think you need more than 8-1 to kind of play that game. And I do agree. I think it goes to Mia Mischief and Guarana, and I will take Mia Mischief.
Yeah, I have a hard time looking past Guarana here. I don't know. After that winning colors, I don't really think that Mia Mischief had much of an excuse. Break even does what break even does, and just doesn't care and just goes real fast on the front end and just hopes and prays that she's going to hold on. Mia Mischief sat the same trip that she pretty much sat in the carousel and just came up empty. And actually weakened and finished a solid 5.5 lengths back. So I think if I'm going to take a short price here of those 2, I think you take Guarana. This might be one of those single and move on. If you do think that there is some type of possibility of this melting down, which I mean I just don't see it. one of the off the pace horses that does interest me a little bit, and this is probably more of like an underneath type play, is going to be the 3 here, Sally's Curlin. Um, Unfortunately, I think Joe Talamo has caused me to lose a little bit of faith in his riding ability after today. So we'll see what kind of ride what he gets here, but that grade 3 that Sally's Curlin won at GP was pretty impressive. Prado gave a perfect ride there, and weren't exactly blazing fractions there for her, and she just fucking came running late. So I think that this is the type of horse that if you're going to play something vertically, you're going to want to key underneath. But yeah, I have a hard time getting around the horse, kind of like Guarana here.
Yeah, I agree. I think in my tickets, I'll probably single Guarana with 80+% of my money, and I might have a few savers with like Amy's Challenge and the Into Mischief horse, Near Mischief.
So Dennis is asking in chat thoughts that Diamond Crazy hits the board here. I would think that just no way. I think I have a very hard time seeing a setup where Diamond Crazy gets there. But I mean, if you're looking to fill out the bottom end of a trifecta or something, maybe.
I think there might be one horse in this field that she can beat, and that might be the 4. I wouldn't take her heads up against any other horse in this field, to be honest.
I would say Diamond Crazy finishes 3rd from last, or second from last rather. Beats the 4 and probably beats one of the speed horses that gets just pummeled in the submission, unless it's a speed favoring track, and then she only beats one horse. Yeah, I don't see it. And I love me some bombs and trying to make excuses for horses. I don't see it with
It is a Dallas Stewart in a graded stakes race. That's the only thing. It's a horse that makes 0 sense in a grade 1, and it's Dallas Stewart.
Oh yeah, who just like loves to run in 3rd and 4th on in graded stakes races. Yeah, I mean, like I said, outside of like Sally's Curlin, there's not really many like long prices here that I even want to toss in underneath. So, Tom says we don't give Dallas enough credit.
Dude, I love Dallas. I just don't love this Dallas horse.
Like, he does great work with long shots, but I just can't see this horse winning. I guess to his credit, or her credit rather, she has a couple off the pace wins at Fairgrounds, which is not an easy track to close on. But yeah, I just think if it melts, there's closers I like better.
I mean, she's never even running a graded stakes. And
yeah, if this was like a grade 3, like maybe.
Exactly.
This is a grade 1, a legit grade 1 at that.
All her wins are in optional 20s, optional 35s. Like, she has no business hitting the board. I would imagine it's, it's owner trainer, but I don't know. Connections just want to run a race at Keeneland, probably. And she's eligible. Like, I don't, or they're hoping to hit the board and then give her black type for breeding rights. Like, maybe.
Yeah, Tom says he's going to wait for the sheets to make that call, but he does say that that he thinks Caleb nailed it with Amy's Challenge. So I'm guessing that Timeform must love Amy's Challenge. I don't see B Mark saying anything.
If I wanted a closer here, it's Bell's the one. That's the closer that you want.
Yeah, and
if
that's
I was going to try or bottom of an exacta, even that might be the horse that's come late for second. But I'd be surprised if she actually wins unless they just go 3 wide across the track and 22 flat.
Yeah, that's what chat. Mike Eng in chat is saying Bell's the one. Last race was impressive. Yeah, fuck Bell's the one. All right, I had all that money going through break even. God damn it. And then I guess Timeform had that race as a strong closer bias in that one. That Bell's the one won. So.
I don't buy it. The horses that were 1-2 the whole race ran 2-3. Like, okay, one horse closed. I think I would credit Bell's the one more than I would say there was a closer bias that the speed horses ran 2-3.
Yeah, and it was 21 and 44. I mean, break evens put up, I believe, sub 21s and held on in one. So
yeah, when Churchill's got that long run up on the sprint, so you always see 21 and change at the higher level sprints.
Fucking break even.
Anyway, we probably talked this about enough for an even.
Yeah, we beat this.
Yeah, I know. Let's move on to a race that might take us the rest of the night. In the Shaker Town, we got a grade 2 5.5 furlongs on the turf. These are my favorite races to bet, because we have a humongous field here. And actually, let me switch back over to this view. We have a humongous field here. We got 14 and we got an AE. And it's a turf sprint, which I think, they're talking about the 7 furlong distance being the manatee distance. But I'll tell you what, man, I always feel like in turf sprints you can get prices, not necessarily like bomb prices all the time, but I feel like you see a lot more, mid to, maybe like double digit prices here. Obviously, the turf sprint at Breeders' Cup, I had, oh man, why am I blanking on the name of the horse that won? But that was like my only win like the entire weekend, but I made so much money off of it that it like absorbed a big fucking chunk, and I can't blank on the name of the horse now.
Oh, the turf sprint horse in the Breeders' Cup?
Yeah.
I can't think
of the filly. From like the 14 post or whatever.
Yeah, the 14 post. That's why you guys all hated the horse, because it was coming to the 14 post, but
I can't think of her name, but it was the filly, yeah.
Oh, it was great. It was great. I'm sure chat will come up with it because we're fucking bad with names.
Undrafted?
No.
Somebody put undrafted in chat.
No. But
10-year-old West Ward warrior.
Yeah, this is a pretty interesting race. It looks like Wildman Jack.
Stormy Liberal.
Stormy Liberal. Oh my God, you guys are not talking about the right horse. I'll have to.
No, it wasn't Stormy Liberal either.
I'll look it up in a little bit. Yeah, it looks like Wildman Jack, and there's another horse. It's co-favorites. Bound for Nowhere are co-favorites. Now, Caleb, I know, before the pre-show, we were talking a little bit, and you had mentioned something about Bound for Nowhere, something that you noticed in the work tab.
Belvoir Bay. Someone just typed it in
chat. Belvoir Bay. Thank you. That was the horse I was thinking of. I know, dude. I'm like, what the heck? Yeah, that was a nice. I think it was double digits. I think we got like 12 or something.
It was nice. Anyway, to answer your question, yeah, like this Shaker Town's just a loaded race. Like I'm gonna probably be so spread and end up getting a short price, but I like some prices here. But you got to start with Bound for Nowhere, though, like you mentioned. And that last work is a bit of a head scratcher. Like Wes Ward is a trainer that notoriously works his horses fast. You can see this horse has fired bullets for the better part of 5 months, and then comes in right before a race with a 105 workout going 5 furlongs on the turf. I mean, even with the dogs up, that's just crazy slow. So Mark and I were talking, and like it's possible maybe this was like a 4 furlong drill that they recorded as 5 furlongs, and he was kind of geared down on the gallop out there for the last furlong or so. But even so, like 105 is crazy. Like I wish we could like XBTV that work and see what's going on, because that's a bit of a head scratcher.
It was the 4th of July. Maybe the horse was hung over or something.
Yeah, maybe a firework scared him.
Now, one interesting thing about Bound for Nowhere, and maybe somebody else who's maybe a little bit better versed than Keeneland, who is Julio Garcia?
He's one of Wes Ward's like go-to riders at like Turfway. He gets like a lot of Ward's like B tier mounts, or the horses that he debuts at Turfway, or I don't know if he rides Ellis or not. I don't follow that track, but he gets a lot of mounts for Ward, but typically they're almost exclusively at Turfway or like level Churchill, like non-sticks mounts.
He's actually the guy who won this race in 2018.
Yeah, on this horse, ironically enough.
On this horse.
Crazy.
So
that's so funny. I'm not familiar with him at all. And I was just thinking, because I was like, oh, Corrales must be somewhere else, but no, Corrales he's got 2 mounts. So I was just I was curious. Like I actually had kind of moved Bound for Nowhere down a little bit, because I know Corrales is kind of like his go-to guy, and or at least has been lately. But I guess I should have looked a little closer and realized that Garcia rides for him.
Yeah, so Dennis actually has this right in chat. But Garcia is actually an assistant trainer for Wes Ward, and I think he's kind of graduated from being bug jock, sort of in-house jock, to being an assistant trainer now. And he, I think, had this mount at some points in time, so Wes hasn't necessarily taken him off. Obviously, 6-year-old horse. I don't think he's riding very many mounts anymore. I think he's more moved into that assistant trainer role, but that's how I remembered it as well. I remembered it. I know he does a lot of exercise rider work, almost specifically for Wes Ward. Wes Ward's very notorious for having this very spread out enterprise where he's got horses everywhere. So he has sort of a lot of assistant trainers and a lot of guys that can kind of do that. I mean, and obviously Wes does this. Wes is notorious for doing workouts on his own horses. So yeah, I think Garcia is one of those. He probably doesn't have a lot of mounts per year, almost exclusively for Wes, and he's more of that exercise rider that still has retained a real good one in Bound for Nowhere.
Yeah, I didn't know Wes was a jock before, but apparently he was and won an Eclipse Award. So interesting. I learned that from a Larry Ravelli commercial.
Now, I will say Caleb was talking about this being a really sort of deep, and he wants to get real spready here. I'm going to be using probably just 2 horses in here. One's Bound for Nowhere, who won this in a romp in 2018, missed by a neck last year, loves the track, loves the setup for this. A horse that fires really well off a layoff. Honestly, historically only fires off from layoffs. Maybe has lost a step in a 6-year-old season. You can make a case for that, but Bound for Nowhere is a monster. I've always really, really liked Bound for Nowhere. Really seems like a real honest trier, puts in a real good effort. And the other horse that I want, a little bit of, well, probably equal amounts of, is Wild Man Jack, who forgot to do by bounce, screwed me over massively at Santa Anita, where I was assuming the horse was going to bounce and then didn't. Mike Smith comes in. I don't know if he has any other mounts on the card. I can't imagine he's just here to ride
check
Wild.
That real quick. I was thinking the same thing.
I can't imagine he was here just
like 2 or 3 mounts.
Yeah, he's got 4 mounts.
Okay, so he's got a couple other mounts here, but that last out fig is the best in the field as far as the buyer scale here, and this horse may be one of those ones that's really rounding into that 2-year-old form, or sorry, 4-year-old form. Kind of just taking that 3-year-old to 4-year-old step forward. I want a horse in here that's going to be forwardly placed. Both of them will. And, just because big field, you don't want them getting into trouble. And I really don't know if there's anybody else in here that really gets me excited. So I think I'm going to be just on those 2.
Yeah. So I kind of touched on it earlier, and this is a race I kind of want to spread out. I like some prices here. Part of it just I see a 15-horse field, and I see like a crazy ass optics plot, and I don't see any completely dominant appearing favorites. Like I hate taking a 5-2 and just like being like, yeah, like I'll be okay with that. Now I will acknowledge from like a game theory perspective, this is a race most people probably will spread, but I still think you can get some prices here. So with Bound for Nowhere, I'm going to use him. I don't have the confidence to single him, but I do think that you have to use the horse. So kind of the horses I'm looking for here is it's a 15-horse field, which is crazy for a turf sprint. So ground loss is going to be huge. Traffic issues are going to be huge. So I'm looking for horses that can be somewhat forwardly placed and aren't stuck in the parking lot with a 12 plus draw, we'll say. So probably I could make a case for about half a dozen that fit that criteria. And while I do like Marks too as well, Wild Man Jack, I guess I still have a low-key California turf horse bias in play that I'm not super excited to bet that horse here. I don't really know what he was beating in that grade 3, but I will probably use the horse. But the long shot that I'm going to really probably have is probably my third A, might be the 3-horse, actually, Real News. You could argue he's kind of beaten up on some weaker competition, and I think that's fair. But I think that this horse kind of fits that criteria of going to be forwardly placed, probably doesn't need to be on the lead. He's got a cozy draw, should save some ground, but he shouldn't get buried on the rail from like the 1 hole. And got a nice, as anyone knows me, I can be a trip handicapper to a fault sometimes, and also I love me some Z patterns. And I love me a Z pattern. And this horse was running real nice last time out and took a bad step or something happened. And this horse lost like quite a bit of ground going into the turn. caused another horse to steady behind him, and then actually swung out wide and was gaining fast at the end. So I thought that was a more impressive race than it looked. He gets second off the layoff here for Al Stahl, who does well with that move. The third place horse from that race came back to win next out, that well-labeled horse. I think he won like an allowance, like a high-level allowance or something. So that's a horse that I think could outrun his odds pretty significantly. Kind of might just get the right trip in here. And the horse that he fouled, I actually also like, which was the 10 horse Totally Boss. I think he needs to work out a slightly more difficult trip as he has less tactical speed and is drawn out high. But I also think this is a horse that if it does get pretty cooking on the front end, that he could be one of the closers I'm a little more interested in. Really was a nose away from being 5 for 5 as he got really good at the back end of 2019. And then he kind of had traffic trouble in both of his last two. So that's a horse I'm a little bit interested in as well. But I'd prefer the 3 Real News. I'd prefer the 3 over the 10 in this spot. But I'll probably be using 2, 3, and 8 most prominently.
Dude, you're going to hate all the horses I like. So I think of the short prices, I kind of agree, I think, with both of you guys. I think I'll probably lean heavily on Wildman Jack. I think of the 2 favorites, this is the horse that I'm going to want to use most prominently of the 2 short prices. But I'm going to look at a couple prices here. The 9 horse Texas Wedge coming out of the Jaipur. I think Alexandra would probably be a fairly large favorite in this race here. And Texas Wedge didn't necessarily embarrass himself here. So I'm going to go back to the Texas Wedge. I did bet him a little bit in the Jaipur. So I'm gonna try going back at that one here. You do have Flavian Pratt coming in for this mount. That's the best West Coast turf jock right now, especially since Umberto got a new agent. I will, I'll probably lean pretty heavily here on Texas Wedge. I'm also going to have a fair bit going through Tiger Blood, the 11. It's the lone E horse in this race. Not saying it's the lone speed here, but is a need to lead type. And you got Luis Hustlebug's High as a board. Mike Maker is mostly known more for taking horses and going longer, but claimed this horse and is putting him right into a stakes race. So I'm guessing he's got some faith in this horse. So we'll see if Luis can get to the lead, hustle this horse out of the gate, and maybe get a little bit of an upset here. And then last but not least, I don't think that you can ever bet any kind of turf race without mentioning Joel Rosario and the One Extravagant Kid. Did win that race that you were talking about earlier, Caleb, with your Z pattern. But closed in from 6 lengths out from start, and cleared by a length and a quarter in 5 furlongs, which is a very, very impressive distance there, or amount rather. And the Leinster's also in this race, who finished second, but the third place winner did come out and come back to win next out in was it Wellabled or Wellabeld or whatever. I always don't even know how to pronounce that name. But one last time out, beat a couple of horses that are in this field and is leaving a key race. So I feel like this is the horse that you got to take a little bit of a closer look at. And I think once again, you're going to get a middle price. You're probably going to get something like 4.5, 5 to 1, maybe more on this horse. And I think it'll prove to be a little bit of value. I don't know how well the rail plays on these turf sprints at Keeneland, so I might have to take a look a little bit closer at that. But but yeah, I definitely think that, you know, you got Rosario aboard in a turf sprint on a horse that's going to want to come from off the pace. I think that's a, you know, a good jock to horse match, and you know, one last race out. So I think I'm going to key mostly around those 4 horses, which once again is the 1 Extravagant Kid, the 2 Wildman Jack, the 9 Texas Wedge, and the 11 Tiger Blood.
I actually love your 11, Josh. I
As
don't hate any of your picks, to be honest. I think they all make sense. The one horse, I'm going to fade off the rail a little bit, but I just think it's a tough spot to navigate in a 15 horse field. But I love your 11. Like, Maker is known for doing this, claiming horses out of Gulfstream or out of other circuits, and then bringing them to Keeneland and moving them up in class and winning. Like, this horse, you have your best turf speed rider in the country on with Luis Saez. It's Michael whoever the hell it is that owns Zulu Alpha. So this is one of his go-to ownership groups. They paid $62,000 for this horse. He's 9 for 10 at the distance. He's going to be your speed, and speed has been good on turf. Like, I completely agree with everything you said. I like that horse a lot.
All right, Mark, where's the hate?
No, there's really no hate here. I do like Tiger Blood. You know, I think you guys have already mentioned Maker's really good first off the claim. And he's, you know, first off the claim, dropping a horse into a G2 makes a lot of sense. Besides that, I don't necessarily love any, you know, I mean, Extravagant Kid gets the rail, isn't fast enough to clear, and probably gets pinched early. But yeah, I mean, if you want to go fishing here for a price, have fun. I think I'm just going to be skinny and try to get through this one.
Yeah, and it looks like, looking at chat, we got a couple of Texas Wedge fans in there. Oh yeah, so Evil Bob Dole did say that he's got he does have the stats up. So if you are in Discord, he's got the bias stats and stuff like that in there. If you guys aren't in our Discord, you can always message one of us on Twitter, and we'll send you the invite link. I think it's on Reddit too, if you go to our horse racing. But yeah, check out Evil Bob Dole's stats. So yeah, why don't you guys ready to move on here to the Ashland?
Sure.
Yeah, let's go.
All right.
By the way, the Ashland taking place in July just feels so wrong. Of any stakes on here taking place in July, this is the one that I'm like, ooh, that just feels really, really wrong.
As I don't know if when was it? Was it the last video we did, or was it 2 videos ago, Caleb, where I think it was me and you before Mark got on, and like we struggled with the name of like a Saratoga Stakes race. And it's like the one time I've ever seen like a negative comment on Twitter. I'm like, dude, I don't have an encyclopedia. Like, I'm like, the Ashland. I'm like, I don't even know. Like, my buddy's last name is Ashland. Like, I didn't realize that this is like a big race. Like, I don't know. So
this is a major Kentucky Oaks prep. That's why. This is, you know, there's also the Bluegrass, which is the major one for the males. This is the big filly equivalent. So it's just one of those races that it feels like this should happen in the spring because we're prepping for the Oaks.
So does anybody know if Speech is coming in this race or is going to be racing on Friday?
I do not know, but I would be shocked if they don't come into the Ashland, because this Ashland did not come up exceedingly strong. You know, obviously Venetian Harbor really towers over this field, and I have a hard time getting beyond her. But after her, isn't Speech have to be your sort of second choice in here? So I would think that they would come here.
Dude, I'm really upset because we were talking earlier before the start of the stream, and I'd mentioned, I was like, dude, I thought I hate Venetian Harbor, and then I realized I was thinking about a different horse, and now I remembered the name of the horse, and then you started talking, and instantly just fucking left my head. Who was the big 2-year-old filly last year that just completely fucking threw a dud? It was your favorite. It was your favorite. No, not Bella. Last year, 2-year-old last year, Caleb. Like, I think you loved this horse. This was like your favorite horse. 2-year-old filly. It hasn't run a lick this year. I'll have to remember. I'll have to look it up. But I got that horse confused with Venetian Harbor. Although Venetian Harbor did come back and lose at Oak Lawn. But yeah. I'll be honest. I'm probably going to get too cute here and fade both of the short prices here. And I think I'm gonna go with Tonalist Shape here. Tonalist Shape's only loss.
I don't have lines.
What'd you say?
Who's the second short price? I don't have more than lines.
Oh, Speech. Speech is 2-1, and Venetian Harbor 6-5. Tonalist
Okay.
Shape is 6-1 on the line.
That's a terrible line. That is a terrible line.
I mean, Tonalist Shape has only lost to Swiss Skydiver. Like literally the only time. I mean, didn't run very well at all in that race. But that's the one bad race. Has beaten some pretty damn good horses. So I'll go back to the well here, especially at 3 to 4 times the price of these other horses on the morning line. Now, obviously, if these start to shorten up a little bit, play will change a little bit. But yeah, Tonalist Shape is going to be who I'm going to be getting most of my play through. What do you think here, Caleb?
I think you're getting too cute by not using Venetian Harbor. I think between her and Guarana, probably your two likeliest winners on the card, and I would give the nod to Venetian Harbor. I just don't think there's anyone in this race who can go with her. Like you said, her Tonalist Shape's only loss was to Swiss Skydiver. That's really Venetian Harbor's only loss, other than her debut. I can probably forgive that one on the turf, going 5 furlongs. I just think she looks like Lone Speed. She's already the fastest horse in the race.
British Idiom. British Idiom is the horse I was thinking of.
British Idiom. You thought I said Delafina. Yeah, British Idiom.
There you go.
Yeah. Venetian Harbor beat She Dares the Devil by 10 lengths last out, and She Dares the Devil came back to just crush the Indiana Oaks yesterday or the day before. Not the toughest field, but nevertheless, like Venetian Harbor, I think is the horse to beat here. I guess the only question is, Pratt is in town for this. We've seen him on one of the turf sprinters last race for Peter Miller. A little curious that Rosario ends up on the mount. He's ridden the horse once, but I do find that a little bit interesting that, I don't know if it's like an ownership decision or what, but Pratt definitely rides more often for Baltus than Rosario does. And Pratt ends up without a mount here, which is just very interesting.
I show Rosario having 57 mounts for Baltus in 2019 and 2020 at 23%. So, to my way of looking at it, that's not something that scares me. But I understand it is a little head scratching.
Dude, Rosario scares everybody. What are you talking about? You don't know what kind of ride you're gonna get.
Well, that's the thing. It's like this horse has Lone Speed, and with Pratt up, I expect him to be Lone Speed. With Rosario, he might be third at the first call, and it's just like you don't know. But yeah, I do agree about Tonalist Shape. I want nothing to do with Speech. This horse will run second, probably. It's what this horse does. She's done it 4 times in a row, and it's probably what she'll do again. So I'm not going to use Speech at all. Tonalist Shape, I think, is the one who kind of had a sneaky trouble trip at the Gulfstream Park Oaks behind a really slow pace that Swiss Skydiver set. I think the blinkers will help get her a little more involved early, and she's the other one that I want here, and I won't be using pretty much anybody else.
Yeah, I think you guys are both insane for not absolutely slamming Venetian Harbor here. She's going to be 3-5. But if you're playing horizontals, I just don't see how she's not a lone A. And then at best, anybody else in here is a C-type horse. I think she wins this sort of 9 out of 10, 8 out of, 9.5 out of 10 kind of times. She towers over this. There's no one else in here that's run as Fig, in their last, that's even can come close to any of her last 3. She can get this distance. There's just nothing that scares you beyond the Rosario being stupid factor. And the only horse I would want as a C that makes any sense is Speech. I know she hates getting her photo taken, but she's the only one here that can kind of compete on any sort of a figure standpoint with any of the rest of this. So, for me, it's Venetian Harbor as an A. Maybe I use Speech as a C. Maybe I just get, just use Venetian Harbor. It depends on what I'm playing. Pick 5, I probably use Speech as a C. But I can't get much more than that. I just don't see anybody else here that really can be competitive. And Venetian Harbor is just Lone Speed.
I think you just key Speech in second place and just move on, because Speech is not going to finish any other spot but second.
We're really putting this horse in the winner's circle, aren't we?
Yeah, probably.
Both of you, we all are. Yeah.
Hey, who knows? Maybe the horse doesn't even run. But I also was against Speech in the Friday stakes races. So I forgot. I think she's entered in what race? She's entered in
Jen-
the
Really?
she's entered in the Friday Keeneland Stakes. I think sprinting. So let me take a look at Sam saying she dares the devil as a B horse. Yeah, the
Probably.
tier three horses in the Indiana Oaks. So yeah, I mean it was fine. I think I'll be honest. I think that Indiana Grand like made like is in a fucking great spot, especially after Lone Star had to close. I mean, Indiana Grand has got some competitive and some good betting races. During the week, I think that's probably my favorite weekday track now. Relationship ended with Mountaineer, Indiana Grand, my new best friend.
Yeah, Indiana Grand has definitely got a great meet, great fields. I know they've been doing some incentives to try to drive maidens there as well. So great product. I think Keeneland sort of stepped over the top of them. They were a little pissed off about that, but beyond that, yeah, great, fun track to play during the week.
So Dennis is asking about this 3 Bonnie South. I just don't think there's going to be enough pace in here for a horse like Bonnie South to really, I think, need. I mean, I guess the did close into that slow pace at the Fairground Oaks, but I definitely think that she's gonna want some kind of setup here. Maybe if it comes up wet, you got Munnings, but even so, I mean, I think these other horses have proved right. These other horses have, Venetian Harbor has got tons
Harbor's
yeah, Venetian Harbor and Tonal Lachey both have tons of mud pedigree, so I really wouldn't be. I don't think even if it comes up wet, I would be like super into wanting to use Bonnie South, but
Yeah, I'm not very interested in that horse either, just given the run style and the lack of pace.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see how Venetian Harbor isn't controlling speed here, and that one horse controlling speed does not set up Bonnie Smith South. She needs probably a big field and a lot of pace to run into. Not a bad thing. She'll probably get that down the road, but just not here.
all right, let's move on. That was a 6-horse field. That might be 5 horses. So let's move on to the Jenny Wiley here, Grade 1. Fillies and mares routing on the turf, mile and 16th, 4-year-old and up. And we got a Rushing Fall sighting. I believe it was a couple of weeks back. Somehow I mixed up Rushing Fall and River Boyne, and I thought Rushing Fall was retired. I had the wrong horse. Rushing Fall is still here. I think I deleted that, so I probably didn't need to bring it up. But yeah, Rushing Fall is a 6-5 morning line favorite here. Jolie Olympica is at 5-2. I don't really see how Rushing Fall loses unless Jolie Olympica just gets real stupid on the front end. But I think that this is with the way that the turf played the past couple days, and just seeing that the other just kind of lack of speed in here, I think that this is that Rushing Fall is going to get just an amazing trip here, and I really see a hard time looking past Rushing Fall here. What do you think here, Caleb?
Yeah, like I like Rushing Fall. Like, there's no way I'm gonna really be against her in this spot. I will kind of use a couple others. Like, I haven't decided on structure. Like, is Rushing Fall lone A and I got a couple Bs, or do I throw a second A in there? I don't know. But there's no point in really talking about her. She's going to be most likely the controlling speed, and she is the classiest horse in the race, probably the best horse in the race. I guess the only question, I guess, could be what does Jolie Olympica do on the stretch out? I think this horse is going to take a lot of money, and I do think that she's well meant. Mandela doesn't ship east very often. So for him to send this horse over with Mike Smith, I'm kind of banking that this is the horse Mike Smith came to ride. It is a little interesting that they sent her here. Her pedigree suggests she should get a route with no problem, and she's not a need to lead type by any stretch. But going from 5.5 to a mile and a 16th is a big step up. And she got a little bit short last time she tried a mile. And now she's going back up to a mile and a 16th, and she's going to be dealing with rushing fall on the front end. I think she makes sense here. And like, that's a horse I'm not going to let beat me. But I do think that 5-2 or 3-1 or whatever she ends up going off at is probably on the short side. The one horse I guess I'm a little more interested in the price would be the 2, Juliet Foxtrot. I've always thought this was a nice horse, probably a cut or two below rushing fall in a spot like this. But I do think that last race, I think she was just taken out of her elements a little bit. She was making her first start in about 6 months, and there was a couple of big scratches that day, and she ended up kind of finding herself as like the best horse in the race and lone speed. And it just kind of felt like she never really settled, and she was racing a lot quicker on a surprisingly faster pace than was anticipated, and just got a little bit short late. I think now getting that first start under her belt and getting the second start on the layoff will do her some good here. I do think she's outclassed a little bit by the likes of Rushing Fall, but if Rushing Fall does end up hooking up with Jolie Olympica on the front end, I think that Juliet Foxtrot's probably the one horse I like best to have that kind of sit third trip and maybe pick up the free check if they end up beating each other up, and she gets that perfect garden spot behind the 2 leaders.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys have kind of touched on the 3 horses I'd be interested in here. I think Rushing Fall is, you're not going to get 6-5 here. You're probably going to get more like 4-5 range. She's, if the track plays how it's been playing all along, she's like a screaming single in here, being that, one horse that's got early positional speed who can actually still close. She loves Keeneland. She's 4 for 5 here. And she just makes an absolute ton of sense. And she's really hard to get around. The other 2 horses I would use would be Juliet Foxtrot and a Jolie Olympica. Same 2 Caleb mentioned. I would want probably more Juliet Foxtrot than I would Jolie Olympica, just because I don't necessarily know if she wants to go this far. Jolie Olympica's got a ton of early speed. I don't know why Mandela ships here. You'd think that there'd be something on the West Coast with, the crazy hard turf that would be at, I don't know, 7 furlongs or something that would seem to be kind of right in her wheelhouse. Seems an odd spot to ship into, and I would use her probably as a B or a C, just because I kind of head scratch at why she's here. And then I think Juliet Foxtrot is actually really, really talented. I think she's been a real quality horse. I don't know if she gets the trip she needs here. I don't know. I mean, she's going to sit just off, Rushing Fall, and can she really close? Better than Rushing Fall? I don't know. I think, for Juliet Foxtrot to win, probably Rushing Fall needs to bring her B or C game. So I think Rushing Fall is, if you're a skinnier player, Rushing Fall is I think, a single here. I don't see any logical reason to try to beat her. If you're somebody that's looking to spread and catch a price, you could use those 2. I don't think beyond that I want anyone else in this field, and I want, 95% of my money going through Rushing Fall.
Caleb, I need you to do me a favor. If you hear me say the word Altea at all this weekend, I just need you to slap me.
What if it's in the bottom half of an exacta?
Okay, that I guess I'll take that. Dude, I was scrolling through, and I was going from back to front. So I'm scrolling up, and I saw Altea, and I almost fell out of my chair. And then I saw the price went up, and I was like, oh, wait, maybe. And then I realized that there's no shot in this race. But
yeah.
Altea needs this to completely come apart, and I just don't see a way. I mean, Rushing Fall can rate, so I don't see a way that you have like a 3-horse speed duel where they go 21 flat and set up Altea, or even maybe.
Dude, it doesn't matter, dude. This thing falls apart. Altea probably still bumps the fucking rail and ends up not finishing second by a nose. So fuck that horse.
She's great in the bottom end of an exacta or a trifecta. She's just a little camera shy.
Yeah. Now, if I'm looking for like an off the pace ish type, other than Juliet Foxtrot, it's like probably Toinette's the other one I think that you might be able to use.
Yeah, I was going to ask a little bit about Toinette, because Toinette does have a bit of class, not a ton, not like a bunch of grade 1 wins or anything like that, but it has picked up some grade 2 and grade 3s out in the West Coast. So that was one I was kind of interested in talking about a little bit. But go ahead, Caleb.
No, like that's basically it. Like she has one bad race, and it was going 1.25 miles, which is just way too far. The knock against her is that when she tried grade 1 company with some legit grade 1 horses like Got Stormy and Daddy is a Legend and Juliet Foxtrot, she ran fourth, which isn't bad, but she kind of had the pace setup she wanted that day. She had the right trip. It just wasn't quite good enough. I think you're probably going to get more of the same here today. She's a nice horse, but I just don't know that she's really a grade 1 horse. And I think for her to really win, you'd probably need Rushing Fall and Juliet Foxtrot and Jolie Olympica, maybe to all get kind of stupid up front, and then maybe she has a chance to overtake them late. But she would need a lot of help. If everyone brings their A- to B game, I still don't think she gets it done. But she is one of the more interesting horses. Like if you wanted to play a couple C's, like I could see her being one of them.
All right. Why don't you guys got anything else here?
No,
No?
I think we've got this covered.
All right, let's move on to the feature here, the bluegrass mile in the 8th for the 3-year-olds. Once again, this is probably another race, Mark, that's probably throwing you off, that this is being run in the middle of the summer as opposed to.
It is. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just so weird having these all. I mean, obviously, this all just sort of shifted. Everybody moved out a couple of months. It's not like the Belmont being before the Derby, but yeah, it's just, I don't know, trying to get used to this setup. I mean, honestly, I don't hate it for the fact that a lot of these 3-year-olds who are classically really pushed to get them ready for the Derby aren't being as pushed as much here. You're getting those horses are getting a little more time to develop. Oh, hey, that horse really needs a break so that we can get him set up for that fall campaign. Well, that's okay now, and I think that's a pretty cool thing. I think a lot of horses got really burnt out historically trying to get ready for the Derby, but yeah, this does fall in a weird time of year, and it feels really odd.
Yeah, so your morning line favorite here is actually the filly Swiss Skydiver at 3-1. And I don't know how to feel about that. This race, I think in my mind, is extremely, extremely wide open, and I've really kind of had a hard time, trying to decipher what exactly to do here. You got horses like Rushy, who, it didn't exactly run very well at the Santa Anita Derby. Lost to Honor AP and Authentic, who probably would be pretty short prices in this race. But at least on Briz ran a good figure there. I don't know what DRF give that Santa Anita Derby effort.
Oh, sorry, I'm not on the horse. 1 second here.
Yep.
That was on what on Swiss Skydiver?
No, Rushy.
The
10 Rushy.
Oh, sorry. 97.
97. I mean, and on Briz, it's a huge figure. And I think that this horse is going to have the type of run style that's going to be probably preferred here. I mean, Swiss Skydiver, same thing. I think her run style really does fit here, but you always gotta have a little bit of at least on Briz, she looks a little slower than a horse like Rushy, and the filly going against the boys. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of a little hesitant, especially on taking a real short price on Swiss Skydiver here. So I think like a horse like Rushy, and I mean maybe even a horse like, I don't know, like Basin might be something. And I said the word Basin again. That should have been another one that I should have told you to slap me.
Yeah, but Caleb's got to be allowed to slap you every time you say Basin.
Yeah,
well, they're in the same category, and Basin's even worse.
But I think those two horses are going to be two horses I'm going to use. I can't really make a real definitive, like, yes, these are the horses I'm going to use for sure. But I think I'm going to play around mostly those horses. I'm still just unsure what I'm going to do with Swiss Skydiver. But Caleb, why don't you, or actually Mark, I think we went with Caleb first last time. Why don't you give me some thoughts, since you hate my Basin Basin thinking already.
No, I don't necessarily hate your thinking. I just hate Basin. I don't know. I mean, to me, the horse that kind of jumps off the page is Art Collector, and I feel like I'm going to get horribly mocked for that by
I mean,
both
Art
Josh and
Collector.
Caleb.
No, I see Art Collector in the chat, so people.
Yeah,
Oh
I mean,
no, and Caleb says he loves him too. Oh goodness.
oh God, here we go. Oh no, we just totally
Uh,
jinxed that horse. Oh man, I mean, Art Collector's won what 3 straight. Seems to have sort of figured it out in 3 straight by like massive amounts. 6 lengths, 7 lengths, kind of stuff. An optional 100 at Churchill is probably not that far behind this, and you're talking the horse that's got the best last out figure as well. It seems to be a horse that's just sort of rounding into form. They figured things out. Um, Horse, seems to really relish the distance. Top and bottom looks like it should relish the distance. I just it sort of jumps off the page of me. I kept seeing 5-1 on the morning line, and scratching my head and kind of going, why is the morning line 5-1 here? How is this not your second choice or co-favorite with Swiss Skydiver? Swiss Skydiver can totally win. I don't have anything I can really fault Swiss Skydiver for. The one that's 3 straight, but don't you just want just as much Art Collector as you want Swiss Skydiver? If you were completely ignoring the morning line and then looking at the morning line going, this makes no sense whatsoever.
No, so I love Art Collector. Who is the second choice after Swiss Skydiver?
It goes to 5-1, and Art Collector and Rushy are both 5-1.
So yeah, I love Art Collector. I guess I'll start there off of Mark's point. Like best last out figure. This is that perfect example of kind of a late developing 3-year-old that kind of maybe didn't have a great idea of what this horse wanted to do. They tried him on the turf, but it's a Bernardini, so clearly that really wasn't going to be his best game. Even though he actually defied all logic and God and actually won as a Bernardini on turf.
At Kentucky Downs.
So regardless, he's just so sharp right now. I mean, ever since the barn change, even right before the barn change, this horse has just been really good. I think he sits that perfect trip. He doesn't need the lead. He's going to be forwardly placed. If the track's sloppy, he should love it. If it's fast, that's not a problem. I don't think you get 5-1. I think you get more like 7-2 probably. But yeah, that's my top pick here. And if everyone's getting cute in other races, this might be the race that I get cute to Art Collector and just make that horse my single here, because I'm just not so sure about Swiss Skydiver. I think she's going to be too short. Well, she could certainly win this race. And if I didn't think the early part of that sequence where you have the likes of Rushing Fall and Guarana and other horses in Venetian Harbor, who are all probably going to be in the ballpark of even money or shorter, like I don't really want another favorite. So this might be one that if you're not going to slam a sequence for a $10 base, this might be one of the favorites that I think you could probably try to beat, stepping up to face the boys. Although I'll definitely concede that she makes sense. Her speed figures fit. She has the right run style. There's a lot that makes sense here. I guess the one thing I could see is one of my, I guess, like second or third picks. I don't know exactly where he'd fall in the hierarchy, would be the 1 Chivalry. I think that with the rail draw, there's a good chance he gives Swiss Skydiver everything she can handle on the front end. I think this horse kind of has one way to win this race, and it's going to be on the lead, especially off the rail. Actually held on for second at the Florida Derby at 80-1. I think Tommy gave that one out 643 on one of our earlier shows. And I just think this horse, like, maybe isn't good enough I don't want this horse in the Kentucky Derby. Like, I don't think the horse can get the distance, but a 1.8 miles probably stretching it. But I thought that last race was a little better than it looked. It was an eyeball duel with 8th Indian the entire race. Those two were 8 lengths clear of the field for the majority of that race, neck and neck the whole time. And Chivalry actually put away 8th Indian, and then was run down by Sol Volante late, after going pretty fast early. 45 flat to the half is very fast for a mile. So that's the horse that I think is going to give Swiss Skydiver a lot of trouble on the front if she decides to send. And if she doesn't, that horse might be good enough to take it all the way. I don't think so. It's more of like a BC type horse for me, but it's probably one of the prices that I'm a little more interested in. I hate the jockey change to Velasquez, honestly. I'd much prefer a more aggressive jock like Harmia fits this horse, I think, or getting somebody like Saez or whoever else. But Yeah, I'm going to be heavy on Art Collector, and then maybe a little bit of Chivalry. Swiss Skydiver might be the one that I kind of think I let beat me, depending on how many prices I shoot for in the other legs of the pick 5. But she's a horse that obviously could win this race.
Yeah, I actually also like Chivalry here. You know, if you look, you see that, you know, he finished third last time out. But yeah, you're right. Chivalry and Etsy Indian, you know, just like threw it down and, you know, did everything they could to cause a meltdown, which set up perfectly for Sol Volante. But you know, Chivalry put away Etsy Indian and you know, is probably the speed of the speed in this race. So you know, I definitely think that that Chivalry has got a chance at you know, at least coming in second or third here at a price, if not outright winning this. It looks like Dennis is talking a little bit about Finnick the Fierce, that he thinks that moving from Martin Garcia to Jose Ortiz is a downgrade, and you agree with him there, Mark?
Yeah, I sort of do. I mean, I don't necessarily want Jose coming from off the pace. It's not his forte, and it's more of a Marty thing. I don't understand the jock change here. Assuming Marty's in town, which he may not be. He may be riding someplace else.
Doesn't he have COVID?
But oh, does he? I didn't hear
I
that.
thought something happened. Maybe I'm thinking of.
Oh no, it could be. Maybe you're right. Yeah, it seems like an odd fit. It doesn't seem like the right jock. You know, I mean, I don't know. You want sort of that Rosario type in here, right? Or I don't know, Julian, or you know, somebody, I don't know, a local jock. Yeah, Julian's not doesn't have a mountain here. Why don't you put LePeroux up on this horse with that slightly off the pace running style? Seems to be a better fit there than necessarily using Ortiz, unless they're thinking of pressing and pushing early, trying a different run style, or being more forwardly placed. I don't know. Yeah, I would agree with which that Dennis says. It feels like an odd jock change.
Yeah, he does have COVID. I was like, I could have sworn I heard that, and yeah, he's asymptomatic, but he did test positive, so they're not letting him ride right now.
Of course, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Finnick, he probably gets a piece. He's the kind of horse I think that runs third or fourth in this race.
I mean, those works look pretty freaking good. I mean, I know times you can't go off of just times all the time, but yeah, those works look pretty good.
Off those works, you think they're going to try to send him or make him more forwardly placed?
I mean, they kind of did last time, right? I mean, it was a slow pace, but you know, he was up front. You know, it was only off by, you know, it was in second place, only off by a length and a half length. So
yeah, that's a slow pace in a 4-horse field. So I always think kind of throw a pace out the window in those kind of unique situations. But yeah,
but we're also not talking. I don't think we're talking deep closer. I mean, I'm thinking, you know, 3-4 lengths off, which I mean is off the pace, but you know, it's not like we're talking like some horse that's going to try and come off like 8 lengths off or anything like that.
Fair.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I wouldn't hate using Finnick the Fierce in some way in your ticket. I guess the more I look at the horse, the more I'm kind of growing to like the horse a little, but it's a little hard to get there.
Yeah,
and I mean, is the horse? I mean, beyond So I mean, the horse only crossed the wire first in that maiden 31 Indiana Downs. You know, so I don't know. I like the horse a little bit, but it's a hard. There's some real quality in here, and I don't know if that's the quality.
Yeah, I think he hits the board at best, but I wouldn't talk anybody off him because he is a bit of a interesting character in this.
I'm actually really interested, and I'll probably take a look tomorrow at some point at the Timeform US figures a little bit, just because I'm kind of curious how Chivalry's last race came up on Timeform versus some of the other speed figures, because you know Timeform does they have that variant for pace, and you know I think that I really I'm like, the more we've talked about it, you know, I'm starting to, you know, think that Chivalry's probably going to move up a little bit in my mind, especially after that last race.
Chivalry has definitely been on the deep end of the pool. I mean, if you look at the company he's been keeping with, whether it be Mischievous Alex, or Volante, Tis the Law, Chance It, there's a lot of classy horses that he's been playing with. I wouldn't hate taking a stab there if you think that the pace setup is better here, maybe more honest, and he gets to really run his race. I tend to not feel that way, but I wouldn't fault somebody for going here because I think you'll get every part of that 8-1 price.
I know that Murphy, one of our regular Discorders, has been waiting for the 4 Mr. Big News to run back for literally probably since he won the Oaklawn Stakes. I don't like this horse personally. I think that he caught a sloppy track that he should love and just an absolutely ballistic pace to run at. And Farmington Road and Taishan both have come back to kind of suck. So I'm not going to use this horse at all. Plus, I don't see this race getting stupid fast on the front end. I might be more interested in him if he ever tries turf, but I don't see him winning this race. But curious if either of you guys would make the case for him or not.
No, I would make no case for him here. Obviously, he won that Oaklawn Stakes, which completely collapsed. I don't know if it's a factor of him relishing the off-going. I wouldn't necessarily think so. His wet timings aren't that crazy high. I think it just happens to be the race fell into his lap when the pace completely fell apart. A bunch of horses try to stretch out and get the distance, and it completely fell into his lap. I would have a real hard time getting here, and I would honestly love to know why Murphy was all about him, because Murphy is tends to make some very good opinions, and when he's all about a horse, you tend to kind of perk your ears up and pay attention.
Yeah, I think Murph was on him more for like a Derby futures, thinking he could get the distance. And from that perspective, I get it, but I don't think he's good enough, to be honest. And these horses with these run styles typically don't win the Derby. But no, I was just curious if either of you could make a case for him here.
No, I mean this needs to melt completely in order for Mr. Big News to come into this, and I don't really see it. Maybe if we had another horse in here that I thought 100% was going to try and get the lead, I could maybe see it. But the way things look right now, I'm against.
Any thoughts on the horse that I assume will attract some support, which is the 5, Man in the Can?
I can get more there. That horse, I can see making an argument that the horse can take another step forward. If 3 wins in a row, I always like winners. And a horse that probably gets a pretty nice pace setup, has a sort of interesting pedigree with Smoke Glacken on the bottom end, which doesn't scream this distance to me, but he's done it before. I can get it if you want to use the horse as sort of a C type. I wouldn't fault you for that.
It's so funny because if you look at the pedigree on this horse, like the pedigree stats in Brisnet, you're like, this horse folds after running like 6 furlongs. So
yeah, I look at
it as California Chrome type pedigree where you look at it and you go, okay, this horse has got to be a sprinter, but okay.
I love Cannon the Man as a sire, sprinting typically. I think Into Mischief are good up to about a mile, maybe like a mile and a 16th. The bottom screams sprint. I'm like, oh, this horse can't get the distance. And then I look down and I'm like, well, he just won 9 furlongs at Churchill, and I just don't know how to feel about that.
So,
and also 9 furlongs coming from way out of it, which normally is an implication that the horse can get more distance, not necessarily like he got, loose on a real fast track and stole it. So he's a head scratching horse. That's for one. Yeah. It's one I wouldn't fault anybody for taking and assuming there was some upside there.
Yeah.
Well, since we started talking a little pedigree before we get off here real quick, I did want to ask a question. And this is probably more for you guys, just because, you guys, I guess, study and understand pedigree a little bit, a lot more than I do. But so Daredevil, right? The sire for Swiss Skydiver, didn't he just get shipped overseas? Didn't they sell him off?
I did not see that if that's the case, though.
I
I'm
thought that was the case. I thought that Daredevil is going overseas now, or did I make that up? Maybe I made that up. I'm double checking.
According to Blood Horse, he is standing at the Jockey Club of Turkey Stud Farms at Istanbul.
There it is.
Well then,
Yep. Yeah.
Which is interesting because I actually really like Daredevil as a turf sire. I think he's a very good turf influence, going anywhere from 6 to 8 furlongs, similar to More Than Ready, a very good turf sprint kind of influence, I think. But yeah, I think it's interesting that he's starting to see some distance runners pop up, and then they shipped him over to Turkey. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, because like More Than Ready is another one of those sires that does a ton in like Australia and Hong Kong. Like you see More Than Ready on the top and on the bottom, and all those real heavy turf sprinting countries. So it was interesting. I saw that they shipped Daredevil over, and I always thought Daredevil was a pretty productive sire. I mean, I didn't think was anything crazy, but was always one to look out for. So I always just thought it was interesting that they kind of shipped them off. I know there were all those chromies that were upset that California Chrome got shipped off to Japan or wherever, and now Daredevil got shipped off, and I know this happens all the time. There's been a couple of notable horses, and there's one that's like super recent that I just can't remember right now, but that got shipped to either Australia or overseas and sold, and then got bought back and brought back to the U.S. So it does happen, but yeah, it's just interesting that Swiss Skydiver's making this noise, and Daredevil just got sold. But I think that's gonna do it for us. We did cover all the stakes races here. I didn't have a chance yet to look at Del Mar this weekend. Have you looked at all, Caleb? I know you're more of a West Coast guy.
I love Del Mar, but I have not had a chance to look at it. These Keeneland races have been just big fields, and then having to recap midway through because of changing weather and stuff. I just haven't had time to look. But it looks like they're only running 3 days a week this meet, which I think is for the best. They can get more races in bigger fields, so it should be a good card or a good meet, really.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of excited to see what Del Mar does. So I'll probably focus there this weekend in Del Mar and obviously these Keeneland races. Someone did ask if we've looked at the 10th race at all. I haven't had a chance to really look at it. I don't know if you guys did. I'm guessing it's part of the horizontal sequence here.
it is not part of the horizontal sequence. The horizontal sequence, I think, all end in the 9th. The pick 5, I know, does, which is very nice of them to end the pick 5 within the stakes races. So I haven't looked at the 10th yet.
Yeah, that is very nice. I didn't even realize that. I have not looked at it either, but it actually looks like a nice race. A high level allowance of a bit of a turfy marathon or a long route at the very least kind of race. Is there anyone here I hate? I need to look.
No, this is not in the Caleb hate list.
No, but when I see these long turf races, I'm always waiting for like an Arklow or someone to pop up. But Romantic Pursuit's a horse I don't like. She just doesn't win though. But other than that, there's no one in here I really have an issue with. So
it's funny if you look at what's been winning. I the first thing I did is flipped on optics, and I was like, oh hey, run style wise, the horse that is the one that jumps off the page on optics is Gambling Train, the 8, who's 30-1 on the morning line with Beskiza up. And that horse just kind of jumps off paper at you if you're somebody that, looks at optics from a pace setup on what's been working. The other one would be Delta's Kingdom, just outside with Juliet getting up. Both those have that sort of run style that's been working so far this meet. And it's interesting that both of those two are such a price when you're talking and the horse Romantic Pursuit that Caleb just mentioned, who absolutely hates getting your photo taken. So
10 Speedy Solution. Ken and Sarah Ramsey owned, Wesley Ward trained, Corrales aboard. That's all you need to know. 15-1 on the morning line.
It's got some speed.
got some speed, got a little bit of speed, but it is more of it's a pretty versatile type. Has come from the clouds a little bit, so they were trying. They did try this horse a bit. Going along with Justman, it looks like 2 years ago, and then they stuck to synthetic for the most part last year. But yeah, I mean, this is definitely the type of I feel like this is the type of sneaky Wesley Ward horse that he's going to try and win a Keeneland race with. I don't think we get 15-1. This horse will get bet down on connections, I think.
Anybody want to try to explain why Ignacio Correas has a first-time starter that attracted Mike Smith in this N2X level allowance race?
Well, first starter in the U.S.
Okay, Briz doesn't show any races.
The horse has got 3 starts in Peru.
Okay.
It is 3 for 3 in Peru. Won fairly easily. Obviously, the competition level there is very, very, very suspect. And Ignacio Cortez is 4% first with trainer stats and 5% of the greater than 180-day layoff. So it's getting Mike Smith. I think 5-1 is quite short. And also on Josh's 10, Josh, you realize this is not on synthetic, right?
That's fine.
You sure? Because
Kitten Joy on the top, it's fine. Real Solution, we're good. 20% turf.
Cool. You do you.
There's literally no speed in this race except for Romantic Pursuit.
Yeah, honestly, I thought Romantic Pursuit looked really huge here. So if you guys are playing something here, you pretty much have to use Romantic Pursuit. Might just get an easy lead and put him to sleep, and you got Gaff aboard. So he knows how to ride.
There's oddly no pace in here. Like, it's scarily slow.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like I think that if Corrales could probably ride Speedy Solution aggressively, and not have to expend the horse and still be pretty forwardly placed, I think he might have a shot to try and outkick the 4, but we'll see. I especially in Kentucky, these are connections that you have to watch out for. So I'd keep an eye on the 10 here. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it for us. I know we already talked a little bit. There's a link obviously in our YouTube channel for our AM Wager affiliate link there. So if you guys are looking to check out new ADW and collect the bonus, we do recommend AM Wager. Mark did do a video on AM Wager, so go ahead and check that out. Mark also did put up a new video today. Oh, and also thank you to anybody who's already used it. I think we've gotten like 4 or 5 signups. So thank you. We really do appreciate that. And then Mark did put a new video up today talking about some things that we got going on for the Saratoga meet. That's Mark's bread and butter. My bread and butter tends to be actual bread and butter, but Mark's is the Saratoga meet. So he is going to kind of do a couple different things. So check out that video. And then as usual, we'll be here in the Discord and on Twitter. So you guys can always catch us on Twitter at @wrong_lead, on the Discord. And yeah, we'll catch you guys later.